Hollywood sold innocence, but everyone inside knew better. Behind the red carpets and the diamond smiles was a game, one that didn't reward talent, but obedience. Every contract had fine print that no one spoke about. The women who lasted weren't just beautiful. They were clever, strategic, and sometimes ruthless. They understood the rules, even when they weren't written down. They learned how to survive in a town that only loved you while you were useful. These 10 women didn't play by the book. They rewrote it. Ida Lupino walked into Hollywood like she already belonged there. Sharp, British, and bold enough to stare down any producer, she was a storm in heels. But Hollywood didn't care about brilliance. It wanted obedience. Warner Brothers signed her with promises of stardom, but the reality was a series of forgettable supporting roles and suffocating contracts. Ida quickly learned the truth. In this town, power wasn't given, it was traded. She started playing the system quietly, the right dinners, the right conversations, the right secrets kept. She became the kind of actress producers trusted, not because they respected her, but because she knew when to stay silent. Years later, when she finally earned her freedom, she turned that experience into power, becoming one of Hollywood's first female directors. She made films about assault, manipulation, and control, stories the studios didn't dare touch. Ida Lupino survived not because she was pure, but because she was smart enough to understand the system and still find a way through it. Gloria Grahame didn't just survive Hollywood. She seduced it. She had the kind of beauty that made people nervous, those swollen lips, that cat-like stare, and a voice that made every line sound like a dare. Hollywood cast her as the femme fatale, and Gloria didn't fight it. She leaned into it until the character became her reputation. Every producer wanted her, every actress feared her, and every man who thought he could control her eventually learned otherwise. She married 4 times, and each marriage was stranger than the last. The worst scandal? Her affair with her teenage stepson, the son of director Nicholas Ray, her second husband. The tabloids had a field day. That kind of scandal should have ended her career. But Gloria didn't beg for forgiveness. She just kept working. She even won an Oscar, though most people forgot the film and remembered only the rumors. Hollywood punished her for being honest about desire, but it couldn't look away from her. Gloria Grahame was the woman the system created and couldn't destroy. Marie Windsor was never the star on the poster, but she was always working. While others fought for fame, she fought for consistency. Known as the Queen of the Bees, Marie worked in westerns, thrillers, and low-budget noirs, films that didn't win awards but paid the bills. She understood early on that glamour fades, but reliability doesn't. She was polite, punctual, and as the directors used to say, cooperative. That word meant more than most people realized. Marie knew how to play along without losing herself. When the starlets who mocked her were forgotten, Marie kept acting into her 60s. She wasn't naive about what Hollywood demanded. She just found a way to make it work for her. She didn't chase fame. She chased stability. And somehow, that made her one of the few who left the business with dignity intact. Ann Sheridan had a nickname she couldn't stand, the Oomph Girl. Warner Brothers thought it was catchy. Ann thought it was humiliating. She wanted respect. They wanted a poster. Every time she argued, they reminded her who signed the checks. Jack Warner himself had a soft spot for her, and everyone in town knew what that meant. When Ann pushed back, she was suspended without pay. When she gave in, the roles came. Empty, shallow, forgettable. She tried to hold her ground, but the system always hit harder. By the time she was 40, Hollywood had moved on. Too old, they said. Too tired. Too real. She died at 51, worn down by cigarettes and stress, still fighting for the respect that should have been hers all along. Ann Sheridan's story was every ambitious woman's nightmare. The moment she stopped saying yes, they stopped answering her calls. Claire Trevor didn't need to pretend. She was tough, the real kind of tough that comes from knowing nobody's going to save you. She played broken women, fallen women, and dangerous women. And audiences believed her because she wasn't acting. She'd seen the real thing. Claire came from poverty, fought her way through the studio system, and never apologized for being blunt. She told directors what she thought, and if they didn't like it, she told them louder. Producers called her difficult. What they really meant was not desperate. Claire Trevor's performances in films like Key Largo made her a legend among actors, if not among gossip columnists. She didn't care about being adored. She cared about being respected. And when she finally won her Oscar, she didn't gush or cry. She nodded, like she'd known it was coming all along. Because Claire Trevor didn't need Hollywood to validate her. Hollywood needed her to remind it what authenticity looked like. Jane Greer looked like a dream. Mysterious eyes, the kind of beauty that felt dangerous. But her real-life story was darker than any noir. Howard Hughes signed her early in her career, and what should have been her big break became a prison. He controlled everything. The roles, the appearances, even her personal life. He called her at all hours. He sent people to follow her. He wanted to own her, body and soul. And in Hollywood, a man like Hughes had the power to do just that. When Jane tried to escape, Hughes destroyed her career. He made sure no studio would hire her. For years, she disappeared from the screen. Later, when she quietly returned, she spoke about him without rage, just with that same cool calm she once showed on camera. She said freedom was worth more than fame, and she meant it. Elizabeth Scott was supposed to be the next Lauren Bacall. Smoky voice, mysterious confidence, and a face built for black and white close-ups. But off-screen, she was even more interesting. Elizabeth had relationships with women, something Hollywood's power brokers considered unforgivable. In the 1950s, the tabloids called it immoral conduct. Studios called it bad publicity. She called it none of their business. When a scandal magazine tried to destroy her with lies, she sued them. No actress had ever done that before. The lawsuit nearly ended her career, but she didn't care. Elizabeth Scott lived the way she wanted, and even if it cost her fame, it gave her freedom. Decades later, people would call her one of the most fearless women Hollywood ever produced. She called herself something simpler: honest. Audrey Totter was the kind of woman Hollywood always overlooked: dependable, disciplined, and discreet. She didn't have scandals or meltdowns. She had work. While others chased fame, Audrey chased stability. She played sharp women who always knew the truth before anyone else. Maybe that's why her characters felt real, because she was. Behind the scenes, she was careful, kind, and impossible to manipulate. Everyone loved her professionalism, but what they didn't realize was that it was armor. Audrey knew that being too outspoken or too mysterious could end a career just as fast as a scandal. So she smiled, hit her marks, and built a legacy in silence. When she finally retired, she did it quietly, with no bitterness and no regrets. She had outsmarted the game by never letting it play her. Adele Jurgens wasn't born a movie star. She was a dancer who worked her way into acting because it paid better. Hollywood saw her curves before her talent and decided that was enough. She took the parts others refused: the showgirls, the flirts, the women written only to look good in sequins. But Adele was no fool. She treated Hollywood like a business, not a fantasy. She knew exactly what producers expected, and she learned how to meet expectations without losing control. When the work dried up, Adele didn't beg for a comeback. She saved her money, opened a small business, and lived quietly. No tell-all memoirs, no desperate interviews, just peace. She once said Hollywood was never her dream, it was her job. And when the job was done, she clocked out and never looked back. Evelyn Keyes had one huge role: Scarlett O'Hara's sister in Gone with the Wind. After that, nothing quite matched it. For years, she chased another big part, only to watch younger women take the spotlight. She married 5 times, trying to find stability in a world that had none. When it was over, she wrote a memoir that burned every bridge. Evelyn exposed everything: the private auditions, the unspoken deals, the nights when silence was safer than honesty. Her book didn't make her rich, but it made her unforgettable. She told the truth in a town built on lies, and she didn't care who it offended. Evelyn Keyes died without fame, but with something better. Her story told her way. These women weren't naive. They weren't saints. They were survivors in a world that rewarded compliance and punished independence. Hollywood wanted them to be beautiful, obedient, and silent. They decided to be something else entirely: unpredictable. Each one found her own way to navigate a system designed to break her. Some played the game. Some escaped it. Some exposed it for what it really was. The studio lights made them look untouchable, but behind those lights were choices no one should have to make. And still, They rose. They performed. They endured. They turned pain into power. And in doing so, they left behind stories that still haunt the hills of Hollywood. Because no matter how much the industry tries to rewrite its past, the truth always finds a way to resurface. And these 10 women, they were the ones who taught it how to survive.